We got a roster update for you, Who Dat Nation. News happening at the end of June. This is why you subscribe to the channel. This is why you turn on your notifications. We're going to be breaking down the latest update around the roster, and that is the New Orleans Saints waiving running back Xazavian Valladay, as well as another move that we're going to talk about here on today's show. But like I said, reminder to subscribe and turn on your notifications anytime that there's any roster news. Anytime there's updates around the black and gold, we're going to give you guys an update. I'm actually going out of town on vacation here on Sunday, and we're still going to have some awesome content headed your way. So if you want to tune into all of that, be sure to subscribe and join the over 46,000 people who trust Saints Now by Chat Sports to give them their daily Saints content. So let's talk about the latest move around the black and gold. As I mentioned, Xazavian Valladay, the running back, special teams guy, he has been waived by the New Orleans Saints. Hasn't had much of an NFL career. Appeared in, I believe, one game for the New York Jets, only a handful of snaps. Also only has really had special teams reps in the National Football League, but he did make some nice plays during the summer throughout OTAs and minicamp. And there was some, I guess you could call it, momentum building around Xazavian Valladay. I personally believe the Saints will roll with multiple running backs on the roster, more than they have in the past. And obviously, he is a player that stayed on the practice squad throughout his tenure with the black and gold. He signed with the Saints last year, midway through the season. And this is a running back room that's pretty crowded in New Orleans. We're going to take an updated look at the running back depth chart. But in terms of the other move that the New Orleans Saints have made, Trey Flellen, the cornerback, has also been waived. The Saints did need to make some roster spots available after they signed tight end Seth Green and offensive lineman Barry Wesley recently. We broke down both of those additions on the channel, so if you haven't checked those out, they're linked in the comments and description of this video. Get to know the newest member of your roster. Now, let's take an updated look at the running back group. Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller, Devin Neal, those are your top three running backs. But you also have an interesting option in Velus Jones Jr. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's an LSU legend, helped the Tigers win a national championship a handful of years ago. Cam Akers was a recent addition in the running back group, and Marcus Yarns was signed as an undrafted free agent. And as I mentioned earlier, I think the Saints could roll with multiple running backs, and more than they have in the past. In the recent history, it's been 3 running backs and a fullback. But for right now, I believe the Saints will roll with 4 running backs because I think the fullback position has kind of become obsolete, and it's just kind of phasing out of the National Football League. You can get that type of role filled in with the player that you have on the roster, and honestly, it's just doesn't seem like the Saints are really eager to run with a fullback. Adam Prentice still has not been signed, so if he does end up on the roster, maybe the Saints do roll with a fullback package. However, I don't think that's where the Saints are headed. Now, Kendre Miller, let's talk about each individual running back specifically, and we're not really going to hone in on Marcus Yarns. He's a nice running back out of Delaware. He was fairly productive in college, and, I think at best he's a practice squad body that could see some elevation, but Kendre Miller, he has a clean slate in 2025, and that is a big benefit for number 5. Reminder, he changed his number from 25 to 5. It's pretty fresh if you ask me. He has a clean slate. The biggest issues with him has been availability. There's been questions around his injuries. There's been questions around his preparation. But Kellen Moore is giving Kendre Miller a fresh start in New Orleans this year, and I think that that's a good thing for this player. He has nice skills, and he has nice moments whenever he is available, and when he's on the field, he does have flashes, but again, I just go back to you got to get him on the field. And another player that I'm actually really excited about as well is the 6th-round pick, Devin Neal, the running back that the New Orleans Saints selected out of the Kansas Jayhawks. He was a steal in round 6. He was extremely productive for the Kansas Jayhawks. He had 3 seasons in a row with 1,000 or more rushing yards, back-to-back seasons with 16 touchdowns. In fact, he leads the Kansas Jayhawks all-time in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, and he has a really underrated receiving ability. He's been commended for his leadership qualities as well, and I think the future at the running back position is very, very bright behind Alvin Kamara, specifically with Devin Neal and Kendre Miller. But there's also other players on the roster that could make an impact this year. One being LSU legend, Kansas City Chiefs legend, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was brought back to Louisiana and brought to the Saints roster last year. I believe that he could actually sniff out a role on the active roster if he manages to prove that he is a better player than Cam Akers. I think at best, he's flirting with the running back 4 position because I think the Saints value Kendre Miller and they value Devin Neal. But if there's injuries or if one of those players doesn't pan out, then CEH could be a player the Saints lean on. He has some decent run in the National Football League. Obviously a legend in the boot, and he is a really underrated running back in my opinion. The size, of course, isn't glorious for him, giggity. However, do not sleep on the athletic ability, do not sleep on the speed, and do not sleep on the things that he could possibly provide to the New Orleans Saints offense. And in terms of my roster projection, I want to show you the 4 running backs I personally believe will end up making the final 53-man roster on week 1. These are the 4 players that I think will be suited up at the running back position. Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller, Devin Neal, and shockingly, I'm going to go with Cam Akers to also make the roster. I think that he is a player that the Saints value. He was signed after a successful workout at minicamp, and I do think that he has some gas in the tank. For what it's worth, also, if you put him on the active roster, the Vikings will trade for him at the deadline for a 7th-round pick. It feels like that's kind of been the theme around Cam Akers the past 2 years. And the production for him, it's been up and it's been down, but in 2022, almost 800 yards, 7 touchdowns. And if we can just get like half of that, if you can get 400 or 500 yards out of Cam Akers, I think that's about as good as you're going to get. And honestly, dare I say, I don't want to see my running back 4 have crazy production, because that means something went drastically wrong, whether it's injuries or poor play out of running backs 1, 2, or 3. So with Cam Akers, I expect him to be the running back 4. I expect Kendre Miller to be running back 2 and Devin Neal running back 3. And obviously, no changes to Alvin Kamara. He's one of the best in the league whenever he is available. I want to hear from you. I'm predicting 4. How many running backs will the Saints carry in 2025? And if you want to go above and beyond, bonus question, who will the running backs be? Get in the comment section, put on your GM hat, and I want to hear from you. So let's continue this conversation, because with the rushing attack for the New Orleans Saints, it's been underwhelming. And a big part of that is just the offense as a whole was underwhelming. Obviously, the rushing attack was really the only sign of life offensively for the New Orleans Saints last year, specifically led by Alvin Kamara. He was 50 yards short of crossing over 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. Taysom Hill had to deal with some injuries throughout the season. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see a lot from him, but he averaged over 7 yards per carry, and if you're telling me he can't return to that form, I'm going to question your ball knowledge, because boy, oh boy, Taysom Hill is not a football player. He is a god among men. Jamal Williams, obviously not on the roster anymore for the New Orleans Saints. And so that production, 39 carries, 148 yards, 1 touchdown, I don't think that's going to be hard to replicate. I think Kendre Miller or Devin Neal are fully capable of providing that type of production. And with Taysom Hill, I want to see him get on the field, but I don't want to see him rushed back from injury. He's on the wrong side of 30. He's 34 years old. Severe knee injury. ACL tears are not something to play around with. They're a little scary. And at the end of the day, Taysom Hill is a very special football player, but I don't think that there's a ton of great football left in his tank. I think that he has maybe 1 good season left in him. So I want to maximize Taysom Hill just because I'm a Taysom Hill fan. And look, the Saints, no question about it, need more out of the ground game. And part of that is because the offensive passing attack has been very underwhelming. Sure, there was injuries. There was rookie quarterback. There was Jake Hayner, second-year quarterback. There was injuries at the wide receiver group. The tight end room got decimated as well. Like, I understand those are all things that are true, and they are all factors that impacted the Saints, and honestly, a lot of that they can't control with injuries specifically, but you have to get more out of the ground game if you want to be a successful team, and you want to find sustained success over the foreseeable future. In case you didn't know, Kellen Moore, he has always been known to be a pass-happy play caller. However, with the Philadelphia Eagles, Kellen Moore rushed the ball 36.7 times per game, which was number 1 in the National Football League. So if you need to get more, because Kellen Moore, I believe, will tap into the rushing game. He will lean on the rushing game to support either of the young quarterbacks, Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler. And I also think that the rushing attack for the New Orleans Saints has a lot of pop that is not quite been tapped into, specifically with Kendre Miller and obviously the rookie and Devin Neal. And all of this conversation begins in the trenches. If the offensive line cannot shake things out, then it doesn't matter. We will not see a successful rushing attack. We will not see a successful passing attack, because the offensive line is where everything is won and lost. At least in my opinion, and at least for the immediate future for the New Orleans Saints, that part of the offense is the most important that needs to get worked out. It's the trenches. I need to see Kelvin Banks work out as a left tackle. Trevor Penning, your move to your third position, left guard. This one's got to stick. Eric McCoy, one of the best centers in the National Football League. Just got to stay healthy. Cesar Ruiz, be consistent, be dominant, be a force to be reckoned with on the interior. And Taliesin Fuanga, hey, keep on keeping on, brother. You had a great season, your rookie campaign, and I want to see you continue to build on that when you're back at your natural position on the right tackle spot. Hit me up, Saints fans. I am currently about to head out, about to go pack, about to get on a flight and go out of town with Maddie and her family. So if you want to check in and see what we got going on, hit your boy up on X, Instagram, or TikTok. I have all of the links to my profiles in the comments and description of this video, and you guys can send me a DM. I'd love to chop it up with you. Who Dat Nation, y'all stay golden. Thank you for tuning in. A reminder, latest roster updates. Trey Flellen was waived, as well as Xazavian Valladay. That's the latest around the black and gold, and that's why you subscribe.